they're not going to like it. They're going to hate this video. They're going to hate this exercise. Oh my gosh. Okay. Whew. Here we go. Hey, bass family. So, in response to some questions I've had about some limitations players are feeling, there is an exercise I'm going to show you today that is the quickest way I know to accomplish or to eliminate that limitation. And we're going to be talking about the no root challenge. So let me first back up. The question that I get from private students in person and from messages from you guys is, I hate the way my bass lines sound. I hate the way my soloing sounds. And when we dig a little deep, we find out that a lot of times they're especially with soloing, they're really dependent on the root. And now this is more important, or this comes up more when you're soloing or playing melodies than say when you're playing a bass line, but it still can affect your bass lines. And now here's the problem. I hate to use the word problem. Here's the limitation. Is if you always feel that you have to start all your phrases, whether you're playing a bass line or melody, on the root, then you have a tendency to be limited in what you can do and also the tonality. This comes up a lot when I'm playing live and I play a section and someone will come and say, hey, that solo you played on that, I really wish I could sound that way. So we start, I usually start kind of digging a little deeper what's making them not be able to play in that fashion. And when I can get a chance to hear the players play, a lot of times this is what I hear. Like if they're doing a solo, they might go, Now what happened there is it was a simple 2-5-1, which is kind of our theme progression for today. And they started with root on the D minor. G is the root of the G7. C. So there's a lot of reasons why this is distracting and limiting. One is when we slip off our bass player hat, like our bass line hat, and put on our melody or soloing hat, we have less responsibility to outlining the root movement of the progression. Really to outlining the chords. Now, I believe that it's important for us to create melodies and solos in such a fashion that if you were to record it with a full band and pull down all the the sliders on the mixers, but leave up yours, and you hear a solo, you should still hear the progression in your solo. I do believe that. But hey, there's a lot of different approaches to melodies and solos, and there's great players who played key center approaches, and where you couldn't really hear the progression, but you heard a beautiful solo. So let's talk a little bit about what the no root challenge is. So we have to break that reaction, if is I guess the best word for it, so that when you see the chord D minor 7, or someone tells you, hey, the first chord is D minor 7, we have to break that initial instinct to just play D first. So what we're going to do is eliminate roots from the progression and create bass lines and melodies without it. So a couple things. In today's samples, we're going to be using just the 2-5-1 progression in C major. So D minor 7, G dominant 7, C major 7. I did put a chart together for my Patreon subscribers. And again, you're welcome to become a Patreon subscriber. It's just $8 a month. You can go down and hit the link in the description below. Go subscribe and you can download. I have 100 over 150 posts there for different lessons with additional materials. But what I did is I wrote a progression going through the 2-5-1 in all 12 keys, and so you can practice this method to that. But I want to just at least get you started with playing it in C. So the idea is taking the root away, so we're left with the 3, the 5, and the 7. Now, when we take the root away, we take the octave. We take any version of that actual note. So on the D minor 7, so there's no D, so we're playing an F, an A, and a C. Then we have just 3 notes. I want you to understand this is a method of practice. It wouldn't really be a method of always. That would be ridiculous. There's times when you want to play the root. Within a solo, you may want to resolve it to the root to bring it really tightly back into the harmony, and then kind of step out and be out again, or play some real harmonic ideas. But for the sake of getting over this and breaking this habit of always playing the root first, we're just getting rid of it. So another thing you can download from the Patreon, I know this is hard to see, but I created what's called templates. Now templates are like a uniformed way of practicing intervals against a chord. And in this case, just using quarter notes, just like a walking blues or walking jazz bass line. Just kind of playing quarter notes with a series of templates. So let's just take template 1. I wrote out 10 for my Patreon subscribers, but we're just going to go through a couple today in this video. So on the progression of D minor, G7 to C major, the first template is to go 3, 5, 7, 5. Now the reason why I chose this first is it most closely resembles the pattern you're used to. Like here's the D minor 7. Now you're taking out the root, so you're starting on the F, the third, minor third, 5, 7, 5. Now when it goes to G7, again, you have to fight the instinct to play the G first and just visualize it. You can visualize it's there, but start on the third, the B, B, D, F, D. When it goes to the C, visualize the C's there, but go E, G, B, G. So that would sound like this. Again. Now I really like in my bass lines, when I'm writing my own bass line for a song or for a session, I like looking for spots where I cannot play the root on the downbeat of the new measure, instead playing one of the, usually it's the third of the 5. The 7 can be pretty tense depending on the situation, but starting my bass line at the 3 or the 5. Little rule of thumb, I usually don't do it like if it's a 4-bar progression that repeats over and over again, like with TV commercials, a lot of times it's a 15-second, 30-second spot, and you're just playing kind of a groove. I won't play it on the first measure because that really establishes for the listener, you know, there's the root and everything. They have like a relational value there, okay? Because that's the tonic I can now understand. Even if they don't know the theory, they can. It helps them. So I usually start there. But on like the second or fourth measure, I might start on the third or the fifth of whatever that chord is. So that's why I think this is really good for bass lines too. Now, of course, for melodies, it's in solos, it's so important to not feel like you're playing root. Here's a little line now, root. Here's a little line now. See how that takes the solo and you're like, oh, here it's cool, boom. And then, oh no, I got a neat idea, boom. Or as opposed to playing something that just kind of flows and doesn't always feel the need to like tie itself right back to the tonic. It's a really cool skill to get to. So that was the first template. I was playing 3, 5, 7, 5. The second template is 5, 7, 5, 3. So on the D minor, we're going to start on the A. 5, and I go up to the 7, come back to the 5, and then go to the third. So in the D minor, I'm going on the G7, 5, 7, 5, 3. On the C major, 5, 7, 5, 3. So what would that sound like here? So obviously there's more templates that I've created, and there's a lot, especially like I avoided like doubling up, like playing 5, 5, 7, 3. But once you start doing that, you could create 50 probably cool templates. And as you get better, you want to turn the tempo up so that you can actually kind of really get a groove going on. And sometimes tempo reveals how well we know something because we have to access that information quicker. So jokingly, I started this talking about how you guys are going to hate this exercise. And it was something that when I realized my soloing was really root-oriented soloing, I created this for myself. This was one of the things where I created the exercise for myself, and it sucked. Because I was used to being able to play over changes pretty quickly with, effortlessly, but it was because I was so comfortable within my limitations. So now I don't have those limitations. I can see a G dominant 7 and go, oh, I'm gonna start on the B, or I'm gonna start on the D. That comes with time, being able to quickly access that. But I really want you to consider it. So try this. Um, you know, go on, if you're a Patreon subscriber, the link is in the description below. You can just click on it. It'll take you right to my page. Find the post that's called the No Root Challenge. And yeah, download the templates. Go through them each. Now, ultimately, what you want to do is be able to freely kind of not even use a template, but not be tethered to the root anymore. So you ultimately might end up going like. Just being able to freely kind of play through. In my head, I was visualizing the patterns. Well, I mean, initially when you do it, you're visualizing patterns. But honestly, as you do this, you'll just start thinking of the notes. Like, you'll just know that on G7, B is the third, and D is the fifth, F is the seven. I mean, you'll just know these things. But don't feel the pressure to like try to memorize that all today, because that's just not going to go well and it's going to be stressful. Initially, just try going through these templates. Make up your own based on the idea. Just use 3, 5, 7s, write out a pattern, and then play it over progression. I will have the written materials on my Patreon, but let me know. I can add to any post that if you're a Patreon subscriber and you want me to create some backing tracks for you so you can have something to play through, no problem. I do believe that there are various resources out there for backing tracks in 2-5-1s that go through all 12 keys. The challenge there is sometimes they're recorded quickly. They're recorded fast, and we don't care about speed right now. We just want to get used to this, breaking that tether to always starting on the root. So what'd you think? Was this painful? Is this going to suck? I hope it doesn't, and I hope you give it a fair shot, because it really was one of those moments in my bass playing life, or my musician life actually, where I saw a huge leap in my musicality. My soloing started to sound more like the people that I admired. I had more fun. It just like the whole world opened up because I wasn't stuck with always starting on the root. Now again, I made a lot of money by starting on the root, and that's great too. But we want to be able to have the choice to, hey, with this track, with this session, I'm going to kind of be a root-oriented guy. There's so much going on. I'm just going to kind of pedal the root here and there and do some, little connectors. That's cool. But if you're in an environment where there's something a little more cool going on that you could go, oh, wait a minute, I could do this, then being able to break away from the root and freely improvise with any of the other chord tones is very, very cool. All right, guys. Very, very thankful that you guys came by. Thank you for supporting the channel. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, that's just free. Just right below this video on whatever device you're looking at, just hit the subscribe, hit the little thumbs up, and you're in. Then every time I upload, about 3 to 4 times a week, you'll get the new lesson video, and you're in like Flynn. Of course, leaving a comment really helps. I like to know kind of what's the reaction to what I'm doing. Did this suck for you? And if it sucked really badly, maybe we can work it out just one-on-one to figure out a best way to make it more comfortable for you. Make it so I can give you other exercises, whatever. The world's open to us. It's just I need to know what you need from me. All right, guys. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you so much, and I will see you at the next video.